Hi, everybody, and welcome to She Rises, another episode. And I'm so happy you're here. I am Leslie Kuster. I am the author of 7 Keys to 7 Figures, the Women Entrepreneur's Guide to Money and Freedom. And I'm also the CEO and founder of a women's clothing line called Back from Bali, where I manufacture clothes in Bali, Indonesia, and I import it into the US and sell it online, primarily on Amazon. And today I have another really special guest. Today we are going to meet with Joanne Garroway. Joanne is a very successful entrepreneur and the owner of several businesses, including Dream Vacations, Cruise One Travel Services, and the Women's Master Networking, in addition to being a certified life coach for women in midlife seeking reinvention. And Joanne's passion is creating safe, sacred, welcoming spaces for women in business to meet, to form connections, to learn, grow, prosper together. She's a real builder of female communities and understands that we are so much stronger when we collaborate and work together to achieve like whatever goals we have. Joanne brings warmth, authenticity, humor, and honesty to the women she touches, including her young adult daughter. So welcome, Joanne. I'm so happy you're here. And before we really get started, I just want to tell everybody that how I met you, Joanne. Which is that I'm new to where we're living now, which is in Florida. As many of you know, we've moved from Switzerland back to the United States. So when I first came to Florida, to Delray, I'm like, well, how and where can I find other women like me? Like, where can I find other women entrepreneurs? And which is really what I wanted. So, I did my search and looked at a few things, and I stumbled upon you, Joanne. So I was so happy that I did and that I have found you. So if you can just like introduce yourself a little bit too right now. And also I kind of want to know why you even, because you had a business, and your business I know is travel. I know it still is travel, but you sort of also took like a left turn or a right turn off of that to develop this. So tell us more about that.
I'd love to. And I just also want to just thank you so much, Leslie. You are a joy to know. I am honored that you have become part of my community, and thank you for the invitation to be here. So I wanted to say all that. Yeah, so life is always kind of an interesting journey, isn't it? Especially when we look back and see the things that happened, the choices we made that lead us to where we are today. So for me, what happened is about 21 years ago, I had a young daughter and I was looking to get back into the workforce. So I decided to become entrepreneurial, and I purchased a travel agency franchise. And this was back in the day where there was no internet, there was no social media. And so you really had to be creative in marketing. We relied on, would you believe, newspaper ads in the travel sections of newspapers when people were reading newspapers. And so it was always like, how do we get in front of people? So I started looking into networking groups. I really had not been involved. I didn't need to. I had previously been in the corporate world. So I did find a couple of networking groups, and I would go and try different ones. I went to some women's groups, some co-ed groups, morning groups, afternoon groups, groups that met at night. And I really was getting in touch with, well, where do I feel comfortable? Where are my people? And settled on 2 different women's groups that I was most comfortable. Again, with the primary focus of promoting my travel business. And very interestingly, how the universe works, within a 2-week period, the women who were running each of those 2 groups I was in both approached me, one to take over her group because she was going to bow out, and one to see if I wanted to partner with her. And I appreciated the compliments that they saw there was value in having me participate with them. But I took some time to think about this and go, okay, I'm running a business. I'm a mother. Why would I do this? And how would I do it if I chose to do it? And so basically I decided I wasn't going to take over anybody else's group. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to try it on my own and create it from scratch based on the things that felt good or didn't feel good with the networking groups I belonged to or visited. And that's what started that journey.
Yeah. And so why, first of all, why do you think they saw something in you to like invite you to take it over or run it? And what would you say also is the one thing that you tried to make different than all the other groups that you were trying to be in?
Great questions. Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
to be honest, because we're being honest here, right? I think one of the things that started happening is, it's like you're kind of like a leader or you're a follower, right? And I think you could shift. You can certainly shift. I'm a leader, and it was hard for me at times when I saw how meetings were being led, not to kind of put my 2 cents in and say, maybe next time we could do it this way, or you might want to try this. And obviously the women who were running these groups appreciated it or valued my input. So I think that's one reason they invited me to partner with them or take over the group, because they saw that I wasn't afraid to jump in and help lead. So I think that's kind of what I think happened. As far as creating the group, one of the things that stood out for me in a couple of the groups I had visited was there was a huge difference between groups where I walked in the door, and let's face it, it can be intimidating to walk into a room where you don't know a soul. And it's interesting. I'm not real. I'm kind of on the border of an introvert and an extrovert, so I'm not always the most extroverted person. I noticed a huge difference between the meetings where I felt welcome, where the leader kind of took me under her wing a little bit, or him or her, and maybe introduced me to a couple of people, versus the meetings where I signed in and then was left on my own. And and I would look around, and some of the groups were downright cliquey. It felt cliquey to me. So when I started my groups, the number one priority for me was to make women feel welcome, to not be standing at the door like a deer in a headlight. And like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I say? Where do I sit? I make it a point of always welcoming every woman who steps into the room, asking her a few quick questions about herself, and just creating that sense of welcome and warmth.
Yeah, and you do, and that's really true. Like it is scary walking into a networking group. Like if you just find one online and you found out they're meeting on Thursdays or whatever, and there's then that decision point. Okay, do I go or don't I go? Right? Like if I go, I don't know if I'll be comfortable. I don't know if I fit in. I don't know if there'll be my people. All of those things. And I do know what will happen if I don't go, which is what I'm doing, which seems fine to me, right? So for anybody listening right now, on thinking about if they're going to go to a networking group or not going to go to a networking group, why should they even go to a networking group? Like, what is the value of it in a deeper, bigger sense? Than just feeling comfortable being there?
That's a great question. Another great question. So there's several answers to that. Number one, this is not an order of priority. I'm just saying these are some of the reasons. Getting in front of people, getting in front of an audience, a potential audience, What I say to the women when they walk in the door of my meetings is everything and anything you want is available here. If you show up consistently and are committed to building relationships, you can make sales. You can give and receive referrals. You can form possible collaborations with other women who serve the same market as you, but from maybe a different angle. Friendship. You can make friends if that's what you want, if that's something you're looking for. We get women who walk in the door just like you who are new to an area. So they're just trying to start somewhere in meeting people, meeting women, and forming connections. And I will say this, it's very interesting. I've been running the group for 10 years. I've done 2 surveys in the group a few years apart, just to get a temperature for how the women were feeling. Each survey, the number one benefit women listed for participating in the group was a sense of community. Number 2 was support, and number 3 was sales.
Right. That is really interesting.
It blew me away. It really did, because when I started the group, really the intention was to have a women's business networking group. This is a safe place to come, make connections, to get business, to make money. For the women, as an outgrowth of how I've led the meetings, really value a sense of community, which I think most of us would agree it feels harder and harder to have these days. For that to be the number one reason, the number one benefit of joining was very surprising and heartwarming. So when you say, why should people go? I think any and all of those reasons are very valid.
Yeah. I mean, listen, everyone who's joining, your networking group and the ones I've been in the past too are entrepreneurs, because those are the ones I want to go to myself. And being an entrepreneur and a solo entrepreneur means that you work by yourself. That's basically what you do. And even if you have support, virtual assistants, it's online. And one of the keys to success, and something that I have experienced myself for sure, is joining groups and joining mastermind groups that, help me with the issues that come up in business and just relationships and in everything. I know masterminding is another interest of yours and something else that you facilitate. And can you explain a little bit what that is? Okay, there's networking groups, there's mastermind groups, there's, women networking groups, there's co-ed. What is the mastermind and what is the networking one? And also, if you could throw in there too, how in the world do people find them?
Okay, all right, great questions. Okay, let's answer the last one first.
Okay.
So the women find my groups a couple of ways. Luckily, a lot of it is word of mouth, which is beautiful. So it's always nice to have referrals in whatever way. So women will bring guests. That's one way, word of mouth. The main marketing tool I used other than word of mouth was meetup.com. Whatever you're looking for, networking groups, groups that go wine tasting, bicycle groups, singles groups, you can find on Meetup, or you can start something on meetup.com. So it's a great tool for marketing and finding what you might be interested for locally. So that's another way. Belonging to certain groups online. So just this morning, I'm in a local community Facebook group, and somebody posted, they actually posted, and I happen to see it. Does anybody know of any local women's networking groups?
Yeah.
Bam, right there in the comments. I have some groups. Let me know if you're interested. So you have to be proactive if you're looking to find a networking group, and I think through Meetup, Facebook groups, you can find you can find them.
Yeah, I mean that's how I found you. It was Meetup. It was exactly what I did.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
Yeah.
To speak to your first questions, the difference between networking and masterminding, I think, was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. There are networking groups that are strictly networking. So you come in the door, maybe you put your business cards down or you pass your business cards around a room or a table. I've been to networking groups where you are seated, let's say around a table. I've been to networking groups, especially ones that are in the evening that are pretty social. So they're in a restaurant or bar. People are drinking and you walk amongst the people, introducing yourself, starting or joining conversations. Oh, by the way, here's my business card. So a lot of networking groups are strictly networking. You introduce yourself and your business. Maybe there's one of the members speaks for an extended period, goes more in depth. And that's kind of it. What I chose to do when I started my group is have that component and also have a teaching / learning / discussion segment, which is another thing the women have said they really love. And in some of those segments, we do what's called masterminding. Napoleon Hill, in his famous book, Think and Grow Rich, coined the term. And to mastermind is to take the wisdom, knowledge, experiences of a group and use that collective knowledge to help individuals with challenges. So for instance, it's ironic, you should even be mentioning it, is tomorrow I'm starting an 8-week women's mastermind group. And that is exactly the purpose. Part of the purpose is for a group of like-minded women in business, entrepreneurs, business owners, to kind of roll up our sleeves, get really honest, and talk authentically about the challenges of running a business, because your family and friends may be very supportive. However, you and I both know that if you haven't run a business, you don't 100% understand the challenges.
Yeah.
But when you're in a mastermind with women who understand it, who are willing to be supportive and supportable, it's an amazing, powerful process.
Yeah, and I could agree to that. I was in a mastermind with 3 other women for almost 7 years. Yeah, and it was it's just an incredible experience. We would set it up. It was interesting where everyone changed to be the leader. There was no one leader, and whoever was running the group on that time picked a topic from anything from, business minded, which is like, profit first and income statements and all of that, to, relationships with friends. So it just became really inclusive of everything. And it was it was just really powerful to do this. And yeah, I encourage anyone listening as well to, to look into mastermind groups. I also find it's good when it's not too many women, because everyone needs to have a voice and be able to be included in the group. What do you think about networking with men and women, or networking just with women? I've always tended to just do the women.
Look, I love men, have nothing against men. I specifically made the group women only because I think there's a huge difference when you're with women in an environment that I call safe, sacred, because we understand each other. I've been known to cry at meetings. The women have been known to cry, to share very deeply, very vulnerably. And I think when men are there, women may not feel that degree of safety to be that vulnerable. That's number one. Number two is, look, you must know your target market and your ideal clients. So if your business can serve anybody, male, female, whatever, you really do have to take into account getting in front of the people who can help support you in your business, if that is your primary reason or a major reason for networking, right? So I have had men. I actually have had one or two men come to a meeting. Very interesting. I've also had men try to get to my meetings, and I turn it around and say, there's plenty of co-ed groups out there. I'm happy to refer you. So I think it's a combination of a comfort level being only with women, and or if your business lends itself to men or women, you have to choose where to go. And it's not, you don't have to just be in one.
Right, that's true. You could be in a co-ed one if you want to be, and then you could be like in a maybe whatever, a different one, just a women's group. I think I've always felt, which is why my book was really targeted towards women. I really feel, the women have like certain issues that men don't necessarily have. They have different ones as well. And a lot of them are around, I think it's around confidence, to tell you the truth, and there's a, crazy statistic, which is that like when a man is applying for a job, they need to feel 20% confident that they can do it. And when a woman is applying for a job, they need to feel 80% confident in order to even just apply for that job. I mean, that just speaks to the whole thing, right? So there's a lot of, confidence issues that women really experience that men don't. And I've also find that, so when you're in a networking group and you're in a co-ed one, women sometimes tend to, revert back to that not speaking up thing around other people and all that kind of stuff, which is what we want to get away from. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. There is so much we can learn from men. I think I talked about this at a recent networking meeting, because I think we were talking about money and how many men, and again, it's hard to generalize, so there's always exceptions, right? Many men, if let's say they're at a job interview and the interviewer is asking them what salary they want, many men are just like, yeah, this is what I want. And men aren't afraid to move on. If they were to, let's say, in a job and it's kind of like dead end, or they feel they could be making more, they don't have a problem leaving and searching for other opportunities. But I know myself and other women, when I was in the corporate world, I stayed in jobs way too long because it was the relationships I had with the other people that was comfortable. So it wasn't as much like motivated by money to change as it was, I'm going to be leaving this great group of people. Mm-hmm. I don't think men have that same type of, right. So there's a lot we can learn from men. And I really do agree with you, Leslie, that I think that as women, we do need to work a lot more on our sense of worthiness.
Yeah.
That we deserve the income we want. We deserve to ask for the money, whether it's salary, whether it's we have a service, pricing our services, working on commission. Absolutely.
Which is why visibility is so important. And like what I mean by that is like women who are business owners, a lot of times we need to be the face of our company, especially if we're in a service-based business. In particular. And, there's a lot of fear around being visible, doing videos. Like right now we're live, this is not necessarily comfortable, right? I mean, it's fun and everything, but it pushes your buttons. And as a business owner, we need to be more and more visible. And even if we're not doing videos, just going to a networking event, going to a live, in-person one, like walking into that door, that's visibility. Even doing it a virtual networking, I mean, that's also visibility, not as intense as, the live ones. And so I think, there's this whole subject of confidence and visibility and becoming more and more comfortable being visible is something that like us women, we need to push ourselves more into.
Oh, this is a huge topic. Yes, this we could really delve deeply into if we had the time. But visibility, oh my God, I teach an actual workshop just on fear. because fear and doubt and lack of worthiness are the three reasons we as women don't go for what we want or do the things we feel called to do. And when it comes to visibility, there is so much there underneath the surface, very subconscious, about looking good, not messing up. What will people think of me? Right? Am I doing it right?
Yep.
Oh, it's deep stuff. It's really deep stuff. And so what I've learned as I've matured is I have a couple of favorite sayings, which is, what anybody thinks of me is none of my business.
And I love that one.
Yeah, because you really have to give up
Yeah.
like trying to be a certain person or look a certain way so others will like you. When you can let go of that need to be liked, it's so freeing. Another one is, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So when you accept that, then you don't have to try to be somebody you're not. You can stand up in let's say a room full of women, introduce yourself, and just put yourself out there and be yourself. And yeah, some people will resonate and some may not. When you have that confidence, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I love that. And I love both of those sayings. I've heard that one before, is, what other people think of me is none of my business. Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's such a good one. Yeah, these are the hurdles that we really need to get pushed through, basically, because we're not naturally comfortable in being visible and stepping out of the comfort zones and all of that. But that's what we need to do. And really I love, from Allie Brown, is one of my mentors, and she always says it's time to put your big girl panties on,
Yes.
and really step into our own power and stand on our own feet and independence, and learn to love money, and all of these things make us and create for us the dreams that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, we have to let go of, we grow up wanting to please our parents, right? Wanting to fit in, being a good girl. Yeah, all of these things that we take on, these identities, for many of us when we're young. And then it is, I think, a process of maturity, of being willing to go on a journey of personal discovery, personal growth, to start peeling away all that stuff to get to, like, who am I really? And it doesn't matter who you are, because whoever you are is perfect just the way you are.
Right. That's beautiful.
Right.
And in networking groups, when you go to these networking groups, all your stuff comes up, will they like me? This, will I, can I contribute? Can I say anything smart? How do I present myself? All of that. So this has been so great, Joanne. I really appreciate all the tips. It's so important. We'll just reiterate again that as a women entrepreneur, that you get into some kind of group, networking group, or mastermind group, just to get the support you need, because we absolutely need support. So if you could just end with, I know you have the program coming up, how people could find you and reach you. I actually have right now on screen your website, so that I know that could be one way. So take it away.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So people can find me, probably the easiest place also is LinkedIn. So just go to LinkedIn and do a search for Joanne Garroway. The name is there, and be happy to connect with people. I have an online Facebook group that's free. It's a big one. It's called the Conscious Female Entrepreneur Network. So that's another beautiful place. And so, yeah, I'm here in Palm Beach County, Florida, leading in-person groups under the banner Women's Master Networking. So
Right.
Any of those different avenues will get to me. Yes.
So anyone could work with Joanne in person if they happen to be in South Florida, but also there's opportunities just online as well if you're not in the area. So thank you so much, Joanne. I'm so happy you are here on She Rises. And thank you everybody for listening in on another episode of She Rises. If you've missed any of the episodes, you could either email me and I can show you where to go. You could also just go to my website, which is lesliekuster.com, and all the episodes are there. And if you're interested in coming on the show, definitely email me too. So I will see you next time on She Rises. Thank you so much, everybody.